Hi, I'm Ben Hall. I'm a professor at UCL, interested in computational cancer biology. My lab is specifically interested in how cancers develop, initiate over time. So that goes from the starting place of cancers in the healthy tissue to how the healthy tissue changes as we age, to the initiation of the cancer, to development of the tumor, and to metastasis. And we use a range of different computational techniques to understand that. We look at how molecular changes alter protein structure to change protein function. We understand how that protein function exists within a network within the cell of genes which coordinate cellular behavior, and how those cells grow and expand in healthy tissues and how they transform into tumors.
I'm Adrienne Flanagan. I'm Professor of Musculoskeletal Pathology at UCL, and I'm a clinician scientist. And my interest has developed over the years. I started life as a cell biologist studying bone biology. I then focused on musculoskeletal cancers, sarcoma, and I was lucky enough to just hit the right exciting point of when the human genome was being published, and therefore just entered when cancer genomics were being developed, and that allowed me to grow with it. I was also tremendously lucky to be cited in the largest sarcoma unit in the UK. And so I had all of these samples and a tremendous opportunity to contribute to the development of cancer genomics. And since then, I have identified that the power of artificial intelligence and using the data that is embedded within the cells that we see down the microscope, which is all the genomic data, and the histological data can be pulled together by artificial intelligence.
One thing I've been learning recently in my own lab is how we can use AI to better support programming and analysis, how we can use it to simplify some of our workflows and automate some parts of the process. Now, this isn't AI as you might have understood it in other realms, where we take some data, we train a model, and we get a result. In this case, what we're doing is we are still doing the thinking. We're still doing the analysis and the synthesis, but we're using AI to help simplify some of the processes, software maintenance, software development, and it accelerates the rate at which we can do things. It obviously poses new challenges. There's still fundamentally a human in the loop who's responsible, who's analyzing the outputs, trying to understand what the implications are. But I think there's a huge opportunity in AI that we need to engage with, whether we're looking at it from a mechanistic perspective or whether we're looking at it from a pure predictive perspective.
The amount of data that's required to make a safe and robust diagnosis is so enormous now. It is very difficult to keep this all in one's brain. And so we need support from artificial intelligence and from machine learning. So I have the practical point of view of helping pathologists sustain and develop a better classification for pathology. And I'm focusing on sarcoma. We do not have very large, reliable data sets. And any data set that we get, we have to spend huge amounts of time cleansing and making sure they're robust. A lot of this has to be done at the moment manually, but we hope in the future that that can be done using large language models. It may not be perfect, but at least you would take a lot of the workload out of what we're trying to achieve. And so in my work, what I would hope to be able to do is apply artificial intelligence, computer science vision tools to help make a diagnosis with algorithms on an image produced on a computer system. And of course, but there must be a pathologist in the loop. I do not think in the very short term that one can rely purely on artificial intelligence to give you a diagnosis that will be trusted. Medicine is too complicated. There are too many subtleties and knowledge that is required to make a safe diagnosis. So I think that the work that I'm doing, which I hope to be able to implement, will be supporting pathologists provide safer, quicker, more efficient diagnoses so people can build and use their time more efficiently and develop and cope with the huge amount of challenges that are faced by the discipline at the moment.
We can take the insights, the new knowledge, the new data that somebody else has generated, combine it with other data sets, combine it with knowledge from the field, and bring these all together in a fundamental understanding to learn the principles of cancer initiation, cancer development, and the implications of that for patients and patient outcomes. And computation is the glue that will tie all of these data sets together. It gives us the ability to understand how these data might link to one another, and also the ability to express what are the fundamental principles that draw everything together.
The human mind can only deal with so many points. So if you have 1,000 points, 1,000 patients, with another 100 points related to each of these patients, it's enormous. No person can individually analyze and see the patterns across those patients easily. And what computational biology, computational medicine does is allow us to bring all of those data points together, show us the overlying patterns, the differences, the similarities, and from there we can build better healthcare.
Cancer is a data-driven field. Computation is necessary to bring that data together and turn it into something interpretable, turn it into something predictive, and to make new rules about how cancers grow, how they initiate, how they change over the course of a lifetime, and how cancers can be stopped. It'll allow us to identify what the points are, the features are of the healthy tissue that indicate that it's developing in a bad way that might promote cancers. It's going to allow us to unlock new insights into therapeutics and interventions that weren't possible because it can sit at the interface between multiple different data sets and give us those new rules. What we need now in order to address that is a cohort of people who are able to take the new tools, to understand the biology and generate new insights from both of those things. So the MSc in computational cancer is designed to take people from a range of different backgrounds, interdisciplinary scientists. If you've got a background in life science, if you've got a background in computational science, train you with the skills you'll need to start addressing these major problems.
I think that's also why it's so exciting for students who are going to join this course, because they will get the groundwork about disease. They will learn what questions are important. And then if they're interested in structural biology, that's what they can focus on. If they're interested in developing something in the NHS for improving workflow and stratifying patients to get them through the system quicker, they can do that. This course will offer students so many opportunities. It'll open up ideas to them. What's the best fit for them? What makes them really excited about what they want to get involved in for their careers? And there are so many opportunities that I think this course will therefore be attractive to so many people with different interests, whether it's mathematics, whether it's cell biology, whether it's basic research, or whether it's kind of clinical management. It's all there in the offering, and you'll be offered this in this MSc.
It's really important to me that this is a broadly accessible course because I really believe that there are useful contributions that everybody in the different regions of the sciences can make. So whether you've got a mathematical background, if you've got a computational background, you can learn the key cancer biology that you need to be able to understand and address these problems in the field. That means understanding how the data has been collected, understanding the implications of that data and how it sits into the wider domain. On the other side, if you're a life scientist, I want you to know that you can come into this course and you can start working with computational tools, develop those skills, and be comfortable knowing that you'll be supported to do that. I myself have a background originally in biochemistry, so I have switched and I've developed into the skills in computation. And I'm really passionate that people know that this is something they can do and they can achieve too.
In many of the modules, you will be given basic training in coding and data analysis. All of this will be part of the course, and it'll be taught in different ways by different people in the different modules. So you'll see the different perspectives. Clearly, the more you know coming in, the quicker you may advance, but actually everybody will end up at the same level, I would hope.
The course is going to be based on 3 key prongs. We've got lectures. They're going to teach you the fundamentals of biology and mathematics to understand what's going on. We'll have practical sessions where you'll sit down with computers, working on data sets, learning how to use data, how to build models, and how to understand that data. Finally, you'll have a research project working with the top research supervisors in UCL.
First of all, I'd like to point out there are 2 modules in pathology. One module is the foundations of pathology, and this will be taught largely by pathologists, working pathologists. You will be taught the basic fundamental principles of various different cancer types, and particularly the cancer types where UCL runs large clinical trials and are experts in the field. Why is a cancer caused? What brings it about? The importance of subclassification, the different treatments. What is precision medicine? So we will be giving the students in this course the fundamental knowledge from experts to ask the right questions. The second module in pathology, I think, is really exciting because it allows scientists who will join this course to use tools, the appropriate AI tools on clinical data sets. The pathologists in the fundamentals of pathology foundation module will pose the questions. And the second module, you will learn how to answer these questions about specific diseases. The major focus will be on computational computer vision AI, okay? And this is because the big advance in computational pathology today really rests on digital pathology, okay? This is where pathologists have always looked down a microscope and made their diagnosis. Now we are transferring the microscope and we look at it on a computer screen. That's happening right across the United Kingdom at the moment, and certainly within the next 12 months, I think will be embedded largely throughout the country and around the world. So we're making the same diagnosis, except we're looking at it on a screen. But these images are now digitized, so they can now be used in computer science, in artificial intelligence, to be able to be analyzed using artificial intelligence. And that's the big advance in computational pathology. And because we do a lot of computational science in UCL, and as clinicians, we have large data sets pre-prepared on which these scientists, these students, will be able to investigate and interrogate. This is real-world data that they will be able to analyze. They will have to cleanse it. They will have to see the flaws in it. They will have to learn the difficulties in analyzing data. But they will also learn particularly to speak to the people who are putting the questions.
UCL is the absolute best place for thinking about computational cancer. We're a leader in the field of cancer research, and that comes from huge expertise, huge experience, and massive success in cancer research, enabled by our close links to UCLH. At the same time, we have the skills and knowledge in computational modeling and mathematical modeling that allow us to build these models and bring them together. And all of this is evidenced by our research outputs. So UCL is uniquely the place where you can come learn these skills at the heart of where this research is taking place.
They don't have to be experts in medicine, or they don't have to be experts in computational science, but they have to be able to speak to the other partner, to understand their problems, their challenges. And so we need people to be trained on safety, on governance, but also have the knowledge. They need to be invested in this. They need to enjoy it. They need to be excited about it. And they will if they do this MSc course, because they will see the power of how they can improve healthcare. They can go into basic research and use large data sets. They can work with the practicalities of working with doctors to increase patient flow and efficiencies. They can work with pharmaceutical companies to develop drugs, to test targets, to bring omics and integrate data sets.
One thing that I think is really important is that the people who come from this course are going to have a breadth of skills, an ability to span domains. Now, I think of these type of people routinely as bridge people, people who are able to talk to biologists, who are able to talk to pathologists, who are able to talk to clinicians, able to talk to life scientists, but who are also able to develop methods, models, and techniques in computation. Now, this type of person is extremely rare and extremely valuable, particularly for research, whether that's in academia, where you can develop wholly new ideas, or in industry, where you can put those into practice to develop new therapies and new treatments.
I would say to clinicians that it's almost a must to learn about computational pathology. I think it is useful for oncologists who have so many other skills in terms of treatment and interacting with patients. They need to come back to understand the basics of cancer biology, of what a tissue sample looks like, what an image looks like, what are the challenges that pathologists have. They need to be able to speak to pathologists and to understand their challenges in the same way that pathologists need to understand what oncologists need and what are their challenges.
Cancer is a global problem, and we have a data deluge right now. Uniquely with this course, you have an opportunity to be part of the solution to cancer. This is your opportunity to get involved in the field, get involved in research, and understand how we can take advantage of that, how we can contribute, how we can solve some of these problems and come up with new solutions that we haven't even thought of yet.